I'm very excited about our next guest, Chris Countryman. The microphones are Countryman microphones. You make some of the best microphones ever. They're great for applications like this. In fact, we're using them. We recently switched to them I just met you for the first time the other day, but we recently switched to them because we needed something that was really great sounding, isolated the audio, and also was durable. We had decent sounding microphones, not durable, and not as discreet, and they isolated pretty well. You know, we run this tent usually with a top. We're rolling the convertible in Las Vegas, which actually adds more of a challenge because we get more ambient noise, and they sound really good.
Well, I really appreciate it.
Yeah. These are the E2 microphones. What I like about them is you can detach them from the cable so that I feel like maybe if you broke the cable, you could replace it, number one.
Right.
Number two, if I want to go tomorrow to a wireless pack, I can do that. Right now they're hardwired with XLR. Or if I want to go to some other connector that used to be more popular and is not, I can do that as well.
Yep, that's exactly why we did it that way.
Yeah. And I'm running the earpiece, the single ear, using a Shure 215. A lot of the musicians and stuff use the 415s or the 315s, but it just snaps right on, and I can put it in my ear, and it runs off all off the same cable.
Yes, we try to keep everything as slim as possible, as durable as possible, and as lightweight visually as we can, yeah.
How were you guys able to come up with doing this microphone, make it durable, it bends so that it flexes, it can work for each person's face individually, and you also make it sound so good?
I mean, we're coming up on our 40th year, so we've had a lot of practice at it. We started out with larger microphones, and actually the origins of the company are back in the touring with the Grateful Dead and making handmade electronics, but when we got into
You look a little too young to be touring with the Grateful Dead.
Family business, so I'm second generation. But really we've come to it gradually over time, a lot of interaction with people who are using, like just really getting in with users.
What was the Grateful Dead, what did they want? What did the Grateful Dead want out of a microphone that they weren't getting from what was out there at the time?
Back in the day, at that time, there was a lot of hand-built electronics, and so we made direct boxes and phase shifters for them, and one of the big problems was that people would drive over one of those pieces of electronics with like a touring truck and crush it flat. So we actually built electronics into solid aluminum extrusions the same way you'd build a building with. So emphasis on ruggedness right from the beginning.
And certainly very important, especially with mobile broadcasting or touring or whatever. I know a lot of musicians use your microphones and stuff. What's nice is you can go on the website, countryman.com, I believe it is, and you can pick out the different mics that you want or for the different purposes that you want. And we've been very impressed. They're very discreet. We were a little nervous of not going with the longer ones, but we wanted the discreet ones for two reasons. One, they look better on camera, and two, the other issue is that guests get up and they rip it out of their ear and they pull the cable, and that's how we a lot of times break them. And we felt if they were lighter, and they complain that they're uncomfortable, not that yours are because we haven't used your bigger ones, but with other brands. And so we said if we go with lighter, smaller, and better, they might be less apt. And I tell you, I don't know how to explain this. It works. They sit there and they don't even think twice about it, and then they wait to get up, whereas before they'd bolt.
Yeah.
Maybe because they wanted to get that uncomfortable thing off their head.
When people have stuff against their face like this, sometimes if it's not comfortable, they can't stop thinking about it, and they can't stop adjusting it, and that's what makes it loose. So when it's something that's really small and discreet and comfortable, then everything else gets easier too. Less handling noise, less everything.
So you grew up in the business but then became an audio engineer.
That's right. So
not just the guy who runs the company. That's really impressive.
I mean, it's kind of in our blood. You know, everyone in the family is passionate about audio. So it's been, when you grow up in that environment, it's kind of hard not to catch the bug.
So you got this is the E6, I believe.
Yeah,
is that correct?
An E6.
Let's show this off.
Yeah, this is probably our flagship microphone.
So this is the longer boom that I was talking about.
Yeah, longer boom. This one has a directional element, just like yours does. Just same detachable cables. Kevlar reinforced cable. It's again, the focus is on the durability, so it's probably on this one 30 pounds of brake strength, and we go up to about 50 or 60 pounds with our 2mm cable. And it's designed just to be as lightweight and just kind of rugged as possible. Like this stainless steel tubing, you can just bend it around.
So I always wonder if you bend it, do you bend it too much? Is there a breaking point? But not really. You just keep bending it.
As long as you don't kink it.
Right.
Yeah, you can kind of shape it. So we've had microphones like this in service for 10 plus years if they're cared for well.
Very, very cool. I like that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's the one you're known for. Now, why would I do that? You also sell a headset accessory for any of these. Why would I do this instead of the headset, or why would I do the headset instead of this?
Yeah. It's a matter of personal preference is really the main reason. I think there's some people who feel more secure with it on. It can be easier to fit if it's 2 ears. We have a 2-ear clip that goes onto this, which is adjustable,
Sure.
and then we also have a headset which has a retractable boom and ear wires that can be slid, so that if you set it up for a person, they can just throw it on. We get theaters with costume changes in under 10 seconds, right?
Wow.
So you have to do absolutely everything you can to make it as comfortable and easy to fit as possible.
When you watch on Sunday the football shows, or you watch the NBA or Major League Baseball and their pregame shows, or you watch BeTerrific and you see your mic being used, how proud are you?
Oh, I mean, it's the most incredible experience. It's very humbling to go to a Broadway show or to watch a microphone on TV. I often don't know about it until I see it, so I'll see them in major motion pictures. We just did the Hobbit, for example, and mostly I won't see them, but when I do, it's it's such an incredible group of people to work with, people in film and production.
Are you always looking for them?
I'm always trying.
Yeah, I can imagine. I actually look for what people are using, and I don't own a microphone company.
Yeah, I mean, when people are doing it right, I'll never know.
Right.
So
you also do hair microphones, lavalier microphones.
Yeah, we have.
Talk about the lavs, especially for reality TV. They're really great because you can hide them.
Yeah, I just sent a bunch of lavaliers to Survivor with a special cap. So we have extremely water resistant, extremely impact resistant microphones, medical grade cabling with a Kevlar in it. So for reality TV, I like to think that it's a premier solution, and saltwater resistant. At our booth, I demo by dumping the microphone in a can of Coke, showing people what it sounds like. It's kind of designed for that type of environment because it's rough out there.
If it can handle the acid of Coke, it can handle anything, because I've seen what Coke can do to a penny.
Yeah. I mean, it's everything that we do, we pull from the medical industry to get plastics and cabling and paint that we can use that are resistant to all kinds of harsh chemicals. We pull from whatever the latest electronics and whatever the kind of forefront of manufacturing technology is, just to try to keep up with the folks who are in theater who are trying to make it work.
Sure. And then what about the hair microphones? That's really a theater thing. It's not something I could use, mostly because I don't have any hair.
Yeah, I'm in that boat too. Similar considerations. It's got to be sweat resistant. It has to be makeup resistant. It's amazing what people will do in theater, where they'll shave their head and put a transmitter pack on with a wig over it. I mean, the kinds of dedication that people have to it. But it has to be rugged. I mean, if you're doing shows 3 times a day, 6 months, 10-year stretch, right? I mean, we have to be. I always think that I have to be at least as dedicated to the craft as the people who are using these microphones. So.
That's pretty amazing. And I would say, yes, you do. They have to be dedicated, but you also have to be dedicated. Yeah. Absolutely.
For us, the service is probably the biggest component. Like, as much as I'm an engineer and I like to talk about the technology of it, we hand build these microphones.
You do?
Yeah,
I didn't
our
realize
factory
that.
is just south of San Francisco. Everything is hand built, and we build it more or less on demand for a lot of our products. So if you need a customization, or if you have a problem, you call us at 1 p.m, we can ship it out that day.
That's amazing. I have a friend who just wanted 10 for NAB.
Yeah.
And that's what he's done. Well, he called a Pro Sound out of New York. I got to give those guys a plug. They hooked us up. I know Richard Topan and his Jr. and his son Richard III for a long time. They're great guys.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the thing that I have learned, being tangentially related to this business for as long as I have, is that there's no off time, right? There's no
absolutely
no wait a week for something to show up kind of situation.
It has to be now.
Yeah, so.
Now, you guys have a new microphone that's a little bit different. It's a podium microphone.
Yeah, that's right. We have a A3 podium microphone. It's a dual capsule design, so it actually lets you select what sort of polar pattern you want, and then it's also, because both elements are picking up any vibration or any wind that reaches the microphone head, we actually subtract and cancel that out, so we get kind of 20 plus dB of rejection of all of the kind of normal stuff that you get.
Hitting the table, flipping your pages.
Flipping pages. That kind of stuff, the things that are kind of the most common, most irritating issues with podium microphones, we can just handle.
That's amazing.
So
that really is unbelievable. I have this idea that, and I don't know why, because I love these microphones. I guess because I was so frustrated with what we were using before, with the durability, and maybe the podium microphone you're talking about would work well for this. I don't know. Maybe it's not a shotgun. It's not designed as that. But what do you think of this? Hanging those kinds of microphones from this tent, and for above these people, the guests like you and I. So the guest wouldn't have to be wired in. We wouldn't have to mic them. They could just come and sit down, and it would maybe reject when somebody hits. Because my biggest fear is somebody bumps into the tent we have here, and then you get that noise. It would reject that. And it would isolate enough that we could do this. Is that a scenario we could do?
We will be rolling this technology out into hanging mics probably in the next 6 months.
Really?
Or so. And then we have a line of hanging mics that are about the size of my pinky fingernail. And those are used for getting really close to talent and hanging and picking up.
Well, if you ever want somebody to test with,
I would be happy to get you set up.
That would be amazing. That would be awesome. We'd love to do it. I'm totally serious. That would be great.
Yeah.
I can't say enough good things about your microphones. And I talked to Rosa on the phone when I was nervous about buying them and all this stuff. I talked to ProSound a lot. They were great. And they were so cool. They said, take a chance on them. If you want the longer booms, the E6, we'll figure it out. We used them first for Toy Fair. That worked out great. I had no voice. I lost my voice. I literally, and I'm like, I kept saying, how does the microphone sound? And everybody else, it sounded great. I'm like, how does it sound? Well, it wasn't that it didn't sound good on me. I literally had no voice.
Yeah.
We used it for New York Auto Show, one other show, and this is our fourth show that we're deploying it for. Not one knock on something here, not one problem, not one breakage or anything like that. So
if there's ever an issue, and this is true for you or anyone, and we really want to hear from folks, there is no voicemail at our company. It is just straight to people who can handle problems.
And absolutely, I'm telling you, I called up and got Rosa right on the phone, and she was great. And you have a great company. So you've got all sorts of different microphones. People need to check out Countryman. Really great stuff. Am I missing anything? Is there any solution I haven't thought? I know you've got all sorts of capsules and trams and all sorts of things to put it under clothes, to put it over clothes, to keep the unwanted noise out.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole range of head-mounted and lavalier-worn stuff. I mean, like you say, Countryman.com is probably the best way to kind of learn and explore that stuff.
Do you ever sit up at night and go, hey, I could make this better, or do you think about how you can make it better for people?
I carry a notebook in my pocket all the time, and so I definitely am up many nights writing down new ideas. And coming to a place like this, talking with you, for example, the ideas never stop.
You're a second-generation company.
Yes.
Was there ever a thought that you wouldn't go into the business?
Not really, honestly.
But it's also something that's remarkable because especially there's a lot of competition out there today. And to be able to keep the company going and evolving and all that, it's not easy. And a lot of times second and third generations don't do such a good job, and you're doing phenomenal.
Yeah, well, within our company, it's a large enough family. We sort of have I don't want to call it a journeyman program, but I mean, I went out into industry and I was a consultant for a long time. I actually designed toys.
Wow.
And also did cruise ship design, all kinds of crazy stuff, and then came back, and then I brought that experience with me. So
that is a big family.
It's a big thing for us to make sure that we're kind of looking out at everything outside audio to see what we can bring back in.
And so, are these cardioid or are these dynamic? I never even know the difference between cardioid, dynamic. That's the one thing in this business I've never been able to understand. Yeah. And then I kind of get it, and then I don't get it, and then I said, when I was reading up on which one I wanted, omnidirectional, this, I had all these questions, and then I finally just gave in to ProSound and said, okay, you're going to set it up right, let's do it. And I was shocked by how I was like, what? This is not all the way to my mouth. How is this going to isolate? And it's amazing.
Yeah, a lot of the microphone that you're wearing right now, the short one, a lot of work went into making it sound like it's just right at your mouth. Right. A lot of EQ, a lot of
so dynamic, cardioid, what what do I want?
So these are the ones that we're wearing are electret condenser microphones.
Sure.
They have a hypercardioid pattern on them.
Okay.
So they're very focused, but since we've pulled it back, it kind of captures your nose and mouth, so it gets the full sound of your voice.
And then we put the directional caps on them.
Right. And so there's a little tiny cap on this guy. Inside, it has a front port, and then it has back holes that give it its directional pattern, and each of those is like about the diameter of a human hair.
Wow.
And so we have a whole grid of those, and by tuning the size and number and shape, we can create a rich, full-sounding, tailored directional pattern.
Handmade. Unbelievable.
Handmade.
The best microphones around. Countryman.com, Countryman.com, Countryman.com. Chris, thank you so much for your time.
It's
I really appreciate it. And thanks for making such great microphones.
Well, you make it worthwhile.
You are helping the Terrifics. Without you, they wouldn't hear this. So thank you. You are the Terrifics. We'll be back with a whole lot more right after this. More special guests. Don't go anywhere. Kevin, take us away.